Oh my gosh, definitely. Like the imagination that the youth have is, I think, just astounding. It's really, really unmatched almost when you think of like the time we're in, especially like the age of the internet and how they're just getting information to each other, just using that, using also not just, the political everything, but also, images, the just you can see their souls. And I love it. Like you said, like seeing it in broad daylight, seeing it translated, we always, I'm a dancer, and there's, a little bit of consensus around TikTok, and discrediting TikTok, and being like, oh, TikTok's not real dancing. But then it's like, hold up. The way these young people are using TikTok better than I could ever, even I'm 28, okay? And the way they are just surpassing so many professionals just by using a social media account, it's in, again, and then the trans leaders that use those, platforms and just really take it just to the next level. It's just really astounding. I'm looking at so many graphics and realizing young people made them, and like looking at these campaigns and young people are leading them. And so they're teaching me that, every day that, we're gonna have to hand it off, and like have them run this, like actually run and trust them, to do so. And so like they're teaching me to like make sure I'm on my shit, making sure that I'm doing what I can to pass on something actually tangible for them to work with. Because when I think about what was passed down to me, it wasn't much. And so they're teaching me that time's a ticking, and we need to like really get it together, where it's July of 2021. Like time is passing us by. And, the more we sleep on the youth, the more we are just not progressing. So they're teaching me that time to tick in is now. It's now. Like we cannot be playing around, and so they be keeping a little fire under me, and I like it. And, and they're teaching me, as much as they're teaching me every day. As an educator, I love, and, I'm always one to collaborate with youth and like gauge how they are. What do you need? I don't want to tell you what you need. What do you need? And you just find out so much just by asking them, how are you? You'd be astounded by asking a youth how they are and what they say out of their mouth. And so just, they're teaching me all the things. They check me and I love it. I love it. They tell me, hold up, auntie. I'm like, oh, like I clutch my pearls every time. I'm just like, wow. Okay, get me together. You're right. That's my little spiel. I'm done. Colonialism was this horrible idea that a bunch of white folks decided to make a reality. And so I'm trying to make another reality, and believe in transliberation like they did colonialism, and really make that ever so powerful. Decolonization is reparations. It's also abolition. It is destroying the current broken system and really using our imagination to create again a whole new utopia. And just, it's the active undoing, it's pouring into yourself, it's treating, yourself like your partner, like the person you love most, that's decolonization. We're not told to love ourselves the way we're supposed to, we're supposed to be inferior. For what? No. That's colonialism. That's an arrogance. That's an entitlement to you thinking that you're better than me. No, decolonization is speaking our mind, and it's making mistakes. It's repairing. Decolonization is, again, uprooting, not putting a Band-Aid over, uprooting. It is white people stepping down and aside, like step down, but also step aside. Hand this over to the indigenous peoples that they're supposed to have. Hand this over to the women and femmes and trans women and two-spirit people who, again, continuously run this shit from behind this curtain. Okay, everyone's front stage, but everyone doesn't know that there's a whole tech team backstage, making sure everyone on stage is in their proper spot, going to where they need to go. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about it. You know, like it is literally stepping down, realizing that this is never going to work the way we're supposed to imagine it to. It's not. No, people are making money off of us. People are making money off of prisoners. People are making money off of our death. People are making money off of our joy more than us, you know, and it's no. Decolonization is us realizing our power, reimagining our power, and also giving ourselves space to also not be that badass bitch all the time. Yeah, like actually I do want to shrivel up in a corner and just be, you know, helpless, useless, you know, whatever. Sorry, that's ableist, not even useless. Because what is that? You know, my grandmother, we talk and, you know, she gives me the proverb every time. And, you know, sometimes it, you know, but this one stuck so hard. And she said, am I really doing nothing when I'm just sitting and looking at the trees and just trying to enjoy my day? Is that really me doing nothing? Is that really me not trying to rest and restore and find peace, find calm, meditate, talk to myself, check in? Is that really doing nothing? You know, we put such, you know, we put so much, I'm guilty of it, so much worth on our labor, you know, and so much worth on what we're doing for people and so much worth off of, you know, awards and stuff. And it's like, can we just live? Yeah, it's astounding. I'm learning so much literally in real time right now. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like it's all of it. Decolonization is, yes, can we just live? That's what, like, I just want to live. I just want to enjoy my time without somebody bugging me about why I look the way I do. Mind your business. That's decolonization also. Mind your business. Why are we always trying to police people? Okay, find some business, as Tabitha Brown said. Okay, like mind your damn business. Leave it alone. Not everything is for you. Okay, not everything is for you. It's all of that. And thank y'all. Y'all are fueling me like no other right now. I hope y'all know, like, oh my goodness. Like, thank you so much.
I just want to like have a praise break or something almost, like just put on some organ music in the background and we can all just run around in a circle for a second. Thank you so much for this ceremony and this healing. All of what you all are saying is just so, I feel extra space in my chest when I hear you all speaking this truth, right? The Ara, that phrase that you use, that undeniable presence, right? That comes through community service and that comes from knowing that certain ceremonies cannot be sacred if you are not present. There's something so just powerful about that, about knowing that this is a legacy that's been stolen from us, but that doesn't make it less powerful. Randy, when you're talking about needing to abolish certain things, when you're talking about needing to dismantle and acknowledge what needs to be dismantled and what needs to be held on to, this leads into actually the last question, which I think is one that sometimes we argue about, sometimes we don't argue about, but is gender really kind of one of those institutions that we might have to dismantle or abolish in order to move forward, right? So does gender deserve the same fate as colonialism? Is struggling for decolonization necessarily hoping for an end to gender? Or Randy, would you say your vision is something different? So I'd love for you if you could start us off on this subject. Yeah, what do you think about this? Is it gender abolition or are we talking about something different here?
You know, this question, I thought about it when it got sent to me. I was like, ooh, they're going there. Again, identify as non-binary, trans femme. Those are English words for the closest thing to describe what's inside of me, right? They don't match up 100%. Nothing is ever, for me, nothing has ever matched up 100%. And for the longest time, I never knew why the word gay never fit me, even though people kept putting that onto me, as I'm just floating through life, doing what I do. There was always that question, like, are you gay? And it's like, why? Like, do you just want to know? For what purpose? Besides just knowing, and when I coming into my transness, I realized, oh, I wasn't a boy that liked other boys this whole time. I was never a boy. Like, I was never, ever, 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 ever a boy. I was assigned that role and it did not fit. And I was not going to put that on. My mom told me never to put on shoes that are too small. They're bad for your feet. And so I never, ever, ever, ever fit there. And I don't fit within women either. There we go. I don't see myself as 100% woman, even though I use trans femme, trans woman interchangeably all the time. I take hormones so that I have breasts, so I can appear whatever a way so you can, again, interpret what my soul is. But if I were to tell you like, oh yeah, I want to be called non-binary trans femme my whole life. No, I don't. I just want to be called Randy, Aisha, those, whatever I want you to call me, mommy, queen, daddy, if I want you to. And so, like, yes, I do think the abolition does include this gender construct. Why are we dividing people like this? Why are we causing this competition? And this is like, they always say that when you put genders against each other, like, boys versus girls, whatever, and you separate people like that, you actually heighten gender violence among those groups. And that was the weirdest thing I ever imagined. Like, oh my goodness, because I was, for a long time, I was all for the gender. I was all for, this and that, and fighting for, this right to be called a woman, this right for these pronouns, this right to, dress and express the way I do. But then again, it's like, well, if all I'm doing is this, is just inciting more wars, then yeah, I don't want it. Like, I don't need it. Like, I don't need gender if it's going to mean that other people are going to die. That's also decolonization. And gender is a power construct. So that men, male, whatever, can control everyone else. Because again, they saw that the matriarch was running the shit. And so what do, to, make them think that they're inferior? It's like just dividing them and then telling who gets to go into what. Like, why are we telling people who gets to, like, why? I don't get it. So even as a non-binary trans femme, even as a trans woman, I definitely see that those words, this language, it's ugh, no, we need to be, I want to see people, my young people, when I would bring up pronouns, they would come up with Wakanda, they would come up with Pokemon trainer, they would come up with whatever was on their heart. And I was like, that is the world I want to see, where we're calling ourselves cyborgs. We're calling ourselves whatever we need in order to feel good about ourselves. Like, why can't we just feel good about ourselves and affirm ourselves, and then people respect that? So yeah, I definitely think gender needs to go. And let me see, is it too many? Yeah, it's just, it's one of the things. It's one of the things, this is going to be an ongoing cycle and ongoing journey. And I just hope I can always continue to be a step towards that. Cause the fight, trying to fight the good fight, but this lifetime is only so short. So I just hope that eventually that we just get so close to the world that we actually want to see. Shout out to AU Collective for that. So just thank you. This has been amazing. I cannot wait to hear you all as well. Oh my God.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you so much. Yes, that's the exact way we need to start off on this tip, right? So for a future without gender, a future without the gender binary, or something different, something more.
I know initially when the questions were sent out, the question was, is gender worth decolonizing? And does it deserve to be liberated from colonialism? I kind of struggled with that question. I felt it was tricky. And like Randy, I just want to live in a world where, if I call myself a unicorn, I'd be that. and people will be well with that.
Realizing when you don't have it all together is key for me. I think too, like when I just realized, like I'm an older sibling, so a lot of responsibility was put on me. And like, sometimes I'm like, you know what? You don't have to be the responsible one all the time. You can actually like fuck up if you want and like, get yourself together if you need, like really giving myself a chance to make mistakes, and really just being nice to myself, like, just treating myself like, I give people pep talks all the time, but like, when do I give myself that pep talk? When am I leaning on myself and giving myself that encouragement, that reassurance, that affirmation that, either everything's going to be okay or everything's not okay. It's okay to not be okay, and to really check in with yourself. My mom told me one time, I'm going to get a little bit emotional, but she said, start talking to yourself. Like honestly, like start talking to yourself, like literally being like, hey girl, what's up? It might seem off or whatever, or weird, but like literally check in with yourself and talk to yourself in real time as if you would with someone else, and like check in with yourself and really be like, did you eat? Like, did you, someone called it, I forgot their name and I feel so bad, but they called it, like, that mundane, acts of service. Like, yeah, did you shower? Did you brush your teeth? Like, did you do all the things to take care of yourself to make sure, you want to be however, or did you not shower? Did you just sit in your funk and just let that take over? You know what I mean? There's always balance, right? And so really just treating myself like, again, like treating myself kind, talking to myself nice. We are our worst critics, especially when we're striving for things like perfection. And, another amazing Black trans woman, Deja Baptiste, told me also that, we miss out on our best work, trying to strive for perfection. We miss out on our best actualizations and best lessons and best whatever by just trying to be perfect all the time. Like, yes, perfection is amazing, but like, do you, like, like, can we be imperfect, whatever that means, flaws and all, as Beyonce would say, just, when do we just give ourselves that love, even when we feel we don't deserve it, even when we feel like, we need to, do more, like, no, just give yourself some love. So like, I love my alone time. I love talking to myself, writing and journaling, and taking a bath and, just sitting in silence, even just sitting in silence, listening to the world and seeing what's around me. There's construction on this side. There's someone screaming down there. There's someone walking, like, are you aware of the environment and where you're at in life and in space? So like taking those times to pause is really something that I really try to do at least once a day. Like, have you stopped for yourself today? Did you do what you needed to do before doing something else for someone else? Did you tend to you? Did you say yes to you before saying yes to someone else? Oh, that's a big one, Randy. Oh my God. Did I say yes to myself? Before saying yes to someone else? I'm gonna cry. It's big. It's big. It's big. It's big. Thank you. I'm getting choked, but that's pretty much it.
Really, really important part of that healing process and finding that balance and avoiding burnout. So whether playing again is like playing with yourself or playing with other people, or, creating a game that you do in your daily life, I think is really important. Remember to hug yourself